Welcome to the 21st episode of Ahargana. I am still in South Goa, but exactly like I mentioned in the previous episode, you can see there are no beaches here. South of South Goa, the beaches disappear, and you can see the Western Ghats extending all the way into the mountains, the steep cliffs jutting out into the ocean. This is a beautiful place. It's green, as you can see behind you, and it's completely green in front of me behind the camera. It's a monsoon day, extremely cloudy as you can see, but I'm lucky it's not raining today. The sun is shining through the clouds, keeping me a little bit warm. The breakers, I can hear them loud and clear because there are a little bit of rocks down there, and of course it's hitting against the cliffs, so it's a nice soothing sound to the ears, and a gentle wind blowing all around me. Strangely, there are no birds at all here. It's absolutely quiet. I can't hear a single bird chirping at this time. Maybe it's because it's lunchtime. I don't know. It's extremely quiet except for the sound of the ocean. But you know that we are not here to discuss nature, at least not nature on this scale. We are here to discuss nature on a much grander scale, that of the sun and the moon and the astronomy behind the Hindu calendar. So we are approaching the end of the discussion on Ritu, and this episode I will go back to the definition which I feel is the most meaningful definition, the one based on the equinoxes and the solstices, meaning the sayana definition of Ritu. But even the sayana definition of Ritu, I will argue, is not satisfactory for me. So far, I pointed out to you how a Chandramana definition of Ritu is not satisfactory because summer and monsoon are way off. They don't happen at the time the Panchanga dictates. But if I come to the sayana definition of Ritu, I still have a problem with the two winters, hemanta and shishira. And the point I am making is hemanta and shishira, two entire months, entire ritus rather, that means 4 months, be it Chandramasa, be it Sauramasa, are dedicated to cold winter seasons, hemanta and shishira. But living in a southern state, Tamil Nadu or Kerala or Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh, we don't feel winter at all, ever, not even in December. So when I look at the definition of winter, not just the calendric definition, but in terms of temperature, what it should feel like. You know, I've lived in the United States, I've lived in Buffalo, which is an extremely cold place. I know what winter means there. So when I take a look at the temperatures, the fact that it should be snowing, you need to wear a sweater, you need to wear gloves, you need to wear hats and earmuffs, and then I look at our winters. Something is not clicking there, yeah? And dedicating 4 months, which means 1/3 of the year to winter, just doesn't make sense to me. At least not for these 4 southern states, but if you further up north, if you cross the Vindhyas and go further up north, probably it makes sense. But I will argue even north of the Vindhyas, you will still feel extremely cold only after sunset. When the sun is shining, it's a different matter. It's not that cold at all. Even in December and January, around noon time, it's still nice and pleasant and it's bearable most of the time. So I will try to substantiate this once again using data. I'm not going to use much of astronomy or stellarium in this. This is going to be purely charts and graphs to look at the various temperatures focused on winter in various parts of India and try to find out how does it make sense, where does it make sense. So I propose that these definitions of winter are not making sense for the 4 southern states. It's not working at all. And secondly, definitely that this calendar of ours has been defined by people who live north of the Vindhyas. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. So I will substantiate those points using some graphs and charts, and I'm going to roll the animation now, or rather I'm going to roll the graphs and charts now. I have no animations to roll in this episode. Take a look. Okay, let's get started. In this episode, I am going to put the spotlight squarely on hemanta and shishira ritu, which make up 1/3 of the year, of the solar year in the Hindu calendar. And I'm going to argue this absolutely does not make any sense for a tropical country like India. Why on earth would we dedicate 1/3 of the year to winter? Because both hemanta and shishira are cold seasons, winter seasons. This may come as a shock to you, but think about it. I'm showing you on the screen now two graphs. One is Srinagar, the temperature pattern in Srinagar throughout the year from January to December, January 1st to December 31st, and the other graph is Kanyakumari. And the difference between these temperature patterns is staring you in the face. In Srinagar, there is a clear increase in temperature from lows of January and February to highs in July, August, and then there is a clear decrease in temperature back again to the lows in November, December. This is a band. The lower line is the low temperatures, typically in the night, and the upper line is the day temperature. That is the high temperature. So from -2 degrees to +9 degrees on maybe January 14, 15, something like that. That's what this band means. But look at the Kanyakumari graph. It's absolutely flat. There is hardly any variation month to month to month. And the temperatures are so high, 24 degrees to 29 degrees, and we say this is winter. This is shishira, January and February. Now by February 20th, shishira will end. But for the purpose of this argument, we will take whole of February to be shishira. Same way here, whole of November, December, I am taking it to be hemanta. This is completely flat. There is no defined winter either in the beginning or end of the year in Kanyakumari. It doesn't make any sense to go to people in Kanyakumari and tell them in December, hey, it's winter when the daytime temperature is 30 degrees centigrade. How does it make sense? It doesn't make any sense. It's laughable. So let me move a little bit further north from here. I go to Chennai, one of the major metros. Same situation, very, very, very flat graph. A little bit of curve you begin to see because Chennai is slightly further north, away from the equator. So from 22 to 28 degrees it moves, and probably here from 28 to 37 degrees, a significant increase in summer temperature. But nothing compared to the clearly defined seasons in Srinagar. It's pretty much flat in Chennai also. That's why Tamil Nadu, Chennai, Kanyakumari doesn't matter. We say it's hot, hotter, hottest round the year. Then I move further to Mumbai. Since I moved further, now you begin to see a little bit of curve happening. At least in the night, temperature moved from 19 degrees in January to 28 degrees in May. A little bit of curve, but the daytime temperatures are still holding pretty much flat, the high temperatures. And they are showing a dip here because of the monsoons. It gets colder, relatively cooler because of the rains in Mumbai in July, August. But otherwise, once again, it's a pretty flat, though the width, it's very wide here, the temperature range between low and high, whereas in summer, it's very narrow. Even in the night time, it's very hot. Let me move a little bit further north to Kolkata, and now you begin to see a clear curve, which is mirroring that of Srinagar, except at a higher band. Same way here, in the end of the year also, a clear downward curve in the band, which is mirroring the Srinagar curve, but at a higher range. This is more like maybe 13 degrees to 25 degrees, whereas Srinagar is looking like more from -2 degrees to +10 degrees. So the further north I go, the more sense it makes to say, okay, maybe in Kolkata you can say January, February, November, December are cold seasons, because in the night it gets somewhat cold, 13 degrees, it falls down to. And if I move further north, you know which city is coming next, New Delhi. Here the curve is mirroring Srinagar, except at a higher band. Very nicely and clearly it's echoing the Srinagar curve, but doesn't come as low as Srinagar. So the further north I go, the more sense it makes to say that there is a hemanta ritu in November, December and a shishira ritu in January, February. Down south in Kanyakumari and Chennai, it makes no sense at all. So instead of saying it doesn't make any sense, I would say that whoever defined the ritus of the Hindu calendar lived somewhere up north, probably in Kashmir itself, or maybe in the vicinity of Delhi, maybe in the olden days, the Indus Saraswati civilization had many sites there in that region, northern Rajasthan portions and Haryana. So maybe that's where they lived when they defined the ritu of the Hindu calendar and assigned 1/3 of the year to cold seasons. So far we saw only the major metros. Now I've changed the view and I'm showing you data from a lot of cities in India at one glance. And I removed all the other months. I'm retaining only November, December, January, February. That is, this is hemanta and this is shishira. Only these months I am retaining. And the top line is all the daytime high temperature. And the lower line is the nighttime low temperatures. And these data is from the Met department, and this is an average over almost 50 years. For example, New Delhi from 1956 to 2000, in the month of December, the daytime temperature has been 22.7 degrees centigrade on an average. And some other cities, 1946 onwards, 1951, so about 50. Srinagar from 1901 to 2000, the nighttime temperature in December has been -2 degrees centigrade. Almost 100 years of data they have from Srinagar. They have averaged it and given it to me, and I am plotting it on the screen for you. Now the colors are important. What I did was, so the temperatures range from -5 degrees centigrade to +45 degrees centigrade. Huge variation. A lot on the higher side because we are a tropical country. But I put 15 degrees centigrade as where I change the color. Anything less than 15 degrees centigrade I say is blue. That means it's cold. And anything greater than 15 degrees centigrade I say it's not cold. It's orange, amber, and then getting on to really, really red when you get to 45 degrees centigrade, when it's blistering hot. Now this 15 degrees centigrade is a judgment that I made because I feel that below 15 degrees centigrade, I need to really, really pad up with the thick woolens and start wearing jackets if it goes to 10 degrees, 8 degrees, etc. Above 15 degrees, 17, 18, 20, I'm comfortable. I can roam around in a reasonably good sweater and that should be enough. Now let's look at this data. Let's look at the night temperatures first, the low temperatures down here. And if you see the northern part of India in the night is all blue color. That means it has gone less than 15 degrees centigrade. Wonderful. So that means it's winter. For example, here is Agra. In January is 7 degrees centigrade, 7.7 degrees centigrade, really cold. You need to pad up and really put on warm clothes. Or you come here to Sambalpur, Raipur, 13 degrees centigrade. Or Indore, 9.9 degrees centigrade. These are all pretty cold. So I don't have a problem. But if you come further south, you start going to 19.7 degrees centigrade in Vijayawada. You come to Chennai, it's 21.2 degrees centigrade. And of course, we have seen Kanyakumari is 23.7 degrees centigrade. These are not so cold. These are nice and comfortable. These are pleasant. These are more like Vasanta or Sharad Ritu. These are not like winter. But our calendar says this is Hemanta Ritu and Shishira Ritu, even in these southern cities. In the night, I'm talking about. In the night, the lowest temperature in Anantapur is 17.4. It's not all that cold. Or in Vishakhapatnam, it's 20 degrees centigrade, 20.6. Nice and comfortable. Not hot, but definitely this is not freezing winter either. So, in the night temperatures, yes, we have winter in the northern part of India. In the southern part of India, at least the 4 states of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, it really, even in the night, it doesn't get all that cold. Now come to the day temperature all over India. It's warm. I mean, you take January here, In Nagpur, 28.7 degrees centigrade, and this is winter. This is the daytime temperature. Typically it gets really hot afternoon, maybe around 2 p.m. in the afternoon. 28.7 degrees centigrade. Is this winter really? So the Indian winter is peculiar. Or you come here, which city is this? Gulbarga, 33.6 degrees centigrade in February, and we say this is hemanta. Come on. This is not making any sense. But in the night time, if I take the same Gulbarga in the night time, where is Gulbarga? There it is. Okay, 18.3 degrees centigrade. I'm still marking it as warm because it's above 15 degrees centigrade. But this is winter. That's why in these southern states, I'm not convinced that it makes sense to have 1/3 of the year marked as winter. And even in the northern states, in the daytime, it's not really all that cold. Yeah, some cities, these are hill stations like Dharamshala, of course Srinagar and Nainital and Darjeeling. Yeah, these are, because of the altitude, the height, they are up in the mountains. Even in the southern states, you will see here there is Udagamandalam, that is Ooty, and this is Kodaikanal. They are marked in blue because they are up at a height in the mountains, in the Nilgiri mountains. But otherwise, the Indian winter, the picture you get in front of your eyes, daytime is perfectly fine. It doesn't feel too hot. Nice good sweater and you'll be fine. Nighttime, yes, it gets really freezing cold in the northern part of India. In the southern part of India, again, nighttime also you can manage with a sweater. So this is the picture of winter in India, hemanta and shishira. And clearly, this definition of hemanta and shishira, 1/3 of the year being winter, must have been defined by somebody who lived in these portions up north. That's when the whole thing makes sense. But when you bring the same definition down here and apply it, it does not make much sense. So with that, I'm going to close this episode. We have pretty much covered and discussed all the seasons except for maybe Sharat, for which I have not paid much attention. But I have conveyed all the major points that I wanted to convey, including that 1/3 of the year being winter is not very meaningful in a tropical country like India. So I'm going to close this episode here. Thank you very much for watching. So that brings us to the close of the topic of Ritu. In fact, that brings us to the close of the entire topic of Sauramana and all the calendric elements in Sauramana. So with this episode, we pretty much complete a majority of the Hindu calendar. All that is left for us is to deal with very, very small time frames, the definition of a day and night and a day-night pair, ahoratra, and then subdivisions of a day, gatika or galige as we call it in Kannada. Some of these are very arithmetic in nature, not astronomical, but we will still go through that in the subsequent episodes. In fact, if you think about it, in the Christian calendar, everything is defined with respect to day. Whereas I went through the entire Hindu calendar without really talking about day. Of course, I mentioned day and you know it's sunrise to the next sunrise, but I don't get into the details of a day, and it doesn't really matter as much as it does in the Christian calendar. So we will get into that topic in the remaining episodes, but there are not too many episodes left. Majority of the topics we had to cover are behind us. And if you have followed me all this while and stayed with me all through, and if you have understood that everything that has been covered so far in Ahargana, then you understand the Hindu calendar very well. And if you understand the Hindu calendar very well, I hope that you will help others also to understand the Hindu calendar. The easy way to do that is refer others to this same Ahargana channel. But if you are willing to start a channel of your own and maybe explain the same topic in your own way, in your own language, I would be happy to help you. I'm going to put these Stellarium animations out on GitHub. In fact, it's already out there. If you would like access to it, let me know and I can bring you in as a member of that GitHub repository. The idea which I'm thinking of in my head is that this topic should propagate. It need not be only this channel. It should propagate because you start talking about it to others. You start explaining it to others, and maybe you start a channel of your own, maybe on YouTube or anywhere, but keep that astronomy and keep that stellarium in the center of things, because that makes everything crystal clear. So from here onwards, I want to try and propagate this knowledge of the Hindu calendar to as wide an audience as we can get. In fact, there is a potential audience of 1 billion people who should have this knowledge almost by default, but that has not happened yet. And I request your help in propagating this knowledge to all the other Hindus. And if you would like to collaborate with me in some form or fashion, please leave a comment on the Ahargana channel. I will get back to you. And as I said, the Stellarium scripts are already out there, and I can invite you into the GitHub repository and we can work together. If you would like to make a channel in Kannada or any other language, in Hindi, I would be happy to help you take these Stellarium scripts and propagate them to a much wider audience. So thank you very much for being with me through this episode, through the Ahargana series all this while. I sincerely appreciate your support. So I'm going to close this video here. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and bye-bye.